So hi everyone, welcome to SAS webinar. I am Chitra Mehindale, Technical Account Manager, and we are going to talk about curl utility today and how you can utilize it with PPM. So let's get started. So here is the agenda. We will first look at what curl is. Then I'll go through some basic details about this utility and its powerful features. We'll then discuss how to use curl with PPM's deployment management. And at the end, I will do a quick demo about this utility, followed by question and answer sessions. So curl stands for CURL, that is a client URL. This is an open source project. So the code is developed and maintained by a big online community. It was first released in 1997. It's widely used in many enterprise application code, as well as even in car technologies or even TVs, routers, mobiles, tablets, anything, basically all the internet technologies. So it's basically supposed to have over 10 billion global installations. This is a command line tool or utility and a library designed to work as a way to check connectivity to the URLs and use as a great tool to transfer the data to and from a network server using one of the supported protocols. It has wide range of features and flags that allows it to use this utility in varying purposes and focuses. Another important feature of the curl is that it's a portable and backward compatible. What it means is if you have, if you have developed a code using earlier version of curl, it will continue to work with it even with the latest version of the curl. And that's a great thing for especially the developers, that they don't have to worry about whether their existing code is will work or not with the latest curl version. Also, it supports all the standard and most popular protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, Telnet, LDAP, all these things. Now let's go to the next one regarding the multi-platform. It is a multi-platform tool. So basically it works with all major operating systems like Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. The installation for this one comes pre-built for Linux installs. For Windows, you will need to download it from their site. So you can just search curl on the search, and then it shows up. It can download the Windows and get it. As for all the command line interface for the, sorry, there is something wrong with the date. Let me quickly stop and reshare again. Hope you can see. Okay. Right. So I was talking about the installation and the command help. So you can give curl minus help to get all the details about all the parameters it can use and different flags you can use with the curl commands with their details. And on the internet, there are lots of tutorials available, write-ups available, blogs available regarding this utility, since the utility has been there for close to 25 years now. It is designed to work with without any user interaction, so it works best with any shell scripts. So The next is, so most of the enterprise organizations use many different products to fulfill their business requirements. When they have business data in different systems, there always arises a need to integrate these systems together to keep the data in sync across the systems. To address this integration requirement, these products are usually integrated in such a way that the required data is created in one system and then gets synced in other system or systems using supported APIs with create or update methods at a required interval. For example, there could be a defect request system and where the defects are created in one system, and there is a need to create this same data in suppose PPM instance used by internal development team for further processing and triaging of the defects and maybe also the reporting purpose. So in this scenario, you can basically, you would like to have that integration in place, and you can use a curl to basically have a call defined at a certain interval. You can create a report type and schedule it. That this report type basically has calls to the API for this system where the defects are getting created, and then you can basically bring in that data in PPM, and then the development teams can continue working in PPM regarding it. Usually, such integrations are built using the APIs supported by each product. API stands for Application Programming Interface. So although each product might be built using different platforms or different technologies, using APIs published by these products, they can talk to each other and exchange the data. This is exactly where the curl utility can be very useful and powerful. So as discussed, curl commands basic functionality now. Let's look at how to use curl to send API requests. So the first is because we are going to basically talking using URL. So the each request is generally made up of 4 different points, and the first thing is the endpoint URL, where you are actually trying to connect to that server, application server basically. Then you can use any type of protocol like a HTTP, HTTPS. And the other thing, the most common methods along with the curl are get, post, put, and delete. So get is used to retrieve a resource from a server. This could be just information or a file or an image, anything basically. In curl, the get method is the default method. So we don't need to specify that. So if you just give a curl and then there's the URL, then it basically what it's doing, trying to do, it's going to go to that URL and fetch the data that is shown on that URL. And the get is the default method. You can mention it if you want to, but you don't need to. For the post is mainly used to create data and resource on server. The third main method is the put. This can be used to update or replace a resource in the URL. So this could be you are trying to update a database record using the API with that URL, or update contents of any file. You can do that. And delete, as the name suggests, basically it's used to delete a resource, or that can be a database entry or anything else on the using the API. Again, these actions, get, post, put, delete, these are at the high level that curls define, but you are basically going to call an API which is defined by that system. So these actions for these methods are recommended actions. This is normally how they are implemented, but it's again up to the API specification and implementation that define what exactly happens. Now, let's talk about how to use curl with PPM. As we talk about curl as a command line utility while using shell script, it works well when implementing it along with the PPM deployment management. For complex requirements, customer development teams often work on developing custom Java code to use PPM web services for most of the integrations. Development and testing needs good amount of time for developing that code and deploying it where the custom code is deploying it basically. But when you are using a curl command for quick integrations, um, that will be a quick and easy way to address most of the third-party integrations, when you have a specific requirements. So it's not that extremely complex, but if you want to do a quick integrations, basically call a API, you don't need to create a custom Java code. You can actually use a curl utility in a report type command, say, and call the API and store the information in report parameters and do further processing in the same report type. So I'm going to quickly showcase report type. Basically, let's go through the report type command that I've built for this demo. So here is a report type that I have created. Let's go through it. It has some simple so what I've basically done is I'm connecting the first thing is I'm connecting to a Quintana server here and then running the curl commands on the bash shell. The first thing just wanted to showcase the help command for the curl with where it shows all possible um, parameters you can pass and with different flags that you can use for various purposes. Now here, what we are going to do is basically we are going to um, basically check the URL google.com. And since it uses a redirection by default, we are going to use -l flag for the curl, which basically follows the redirections. So it will actually go to the Google page that normally we see, and it will bring that data in the report type, and you can see that in the log file. Then here, I'm going to ping the microfocus.com website, but here I'm just using this head flag to get the headers for that website. So it will not get the details from the site, but if you would like to just get the headers, you can do that with the head command. Also, we'll get the verbose details when you using -v flag again use for the microfocus website. Um, for after that, for the API, examples, what I'm planning to do is I'm using this open source project that is available for any person, anybody basically wanted to test their API for their API testing. I'm going to basically, so this is the get command. Since I have not specifically used it, uh, uh, here, it is basically a get. It works as a get command for the curl. So it will show the data that is used using this API. Um, then on the same using the same URL, what I'm here, the next one is the post command. So for the post, I'm using -x post. Then I'm sending what type of call is this. So it's a JSON application. So I'm using that as a header basically, and then sending the data for this API on this website. for the name as a demo curl user and the job as leader. So basically, we are trying to create this data using this API on this website. And this is the data that we are creating, whether the demo curl user and job is the leader. Once the data is created, what we are in the next with the next command, which is the put command, so which actually updates the data. So what we are updating, so instead of the for the same user that we just created, demo curl user, now what we are saying, instead of the job is a leader, we are saying it's a curl leader. So we are updating that same record. And at the end, we are basically just want to showcase the delete command, where we are using -x delete flag and to delete the data from this test website. So let's check. So let's check the actual. So when I just ran the same report type that I just showcased, and here is a log file where you actually see the details. So as I said, we are running, I am connecting to basically Quintana server for that demo environment. And once I'm connected, I just, I'm just checking the present directory. And after that, I'm showing the help. So here is the curl help uh, that it shows up with all the details about individual flag and the meaning for it. Is very similar to any command line utility. Now, as I said, this is I'm just pinging, or basically it's a get operation, Google website, and but using the -l flag, which basically avoid the follows the redirects, and it basically getting the information from the Google site. Now I'm pinging the microfocus.com. But if I would have done the same thing with the Google, it would have said the same thing. It's moved permanently, or basically it's not available. Since it uses most of these sites use the redirection. Since I'm just using the header here, it's just bringing the header information for the Microfocus website, and it gives this is the actually the status of the this once you execute any command, it shows the status which basically is successful here, but it's showing the what since it uses the redirects, it gives the detail when it pings, but it says the move permanently. If you want to see the verbose listing to get even additional header information, you can use -v command, and this is how it shows the details on regarding it. It's basically giving the IP and other information. Now here, this is the site we are using. So the curl, and I think when I say ping, it's basically showcasing all the data that this open project, open source site has, and these are some test APIs they have there. So it's basically showcasing all the data there. And then what we are doing is, so this is the data that exists currently on that using this API. Here is the post where we are actually creating this name, demo curl user. So once I execute it, what it does, it shows you that it's created at this date times time. I'm trying to update the same record that I just created with the curl leader, and then it says that it's updated. It's executed that command, and it's showing that it's updated at the date times time. And at the end, when we are deleting the data, it's actually saying there is no content. So because the data is already, so delete doesn't show any data because obviously it deletes the record. So it's returning that. and saying the no content. So that's what um, that's what I wanted to cover for this webinar. I'm going to stop the recording now. We have few minutes for question and answer session. But before that, I just wanted to thank everybody for taking time out and attending this webinar. And feel free to reach out to me or any staff member if you have any additional questions regarding it.